Test, test, test.
But when you reschedule, you never know.
That'll be the last place they close them all.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Is this working?
It's on.
It's on. Hi. Good evening. Perfect, thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening for our 86th annual meeting. If you're viewing this meeting online and have any technical issues or are not able to view the full meeting tonight, please check our website at the end of this week to watch the recorded meeting. The Facebook Live option is solely a viewing option this year. Member comment and participation will only be possible with those members attending in person here at the Cloquet Library. We would like to say thank you for KY Interpreting Services for joining us again this year and providing a sign language interpreter. Thank you to Iris Keller for interpreting this evening. We ask that you silence your cell phones, and we will now begin the 86th annual meeting of Northwoods Credit Union. Thank you.
It is my privilege to call to order the 86th annual meeting of the Northwoods Credit Union. Membership meetings are the opportunity and purpose of giving us as members the opportunity to speak up, to voice our opinions and help determine what is good for strengthening and developing the credit union. In that spirit, we invite all of you to participate in the proceedings of the evening. I call upon the Board Secretary, Christine Ringat, to verify the proof of the meeting notice was sent to all members in accordance with our bylaws.
I verify that the meeting notice letter was sent to all members of record stating the 86th annual meeting of Northwoods Credit Union was to be held on Wednesday, May 4th at 7 p.m. at the Cloquet Library.
Thank you.
Thursday.
Thursday, May 4th. First order of business is roll call of the Board of Directors and Supervisory Committee members. Christine.
I will now call the roll. Chairperson Jeff Kletcher.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Larry Champeau.
Present.
Myself, Secretary Christine Ringett. Director Lisa Follett-Pollock.
Yes.
Director Debbie Larson,
Present.
Director Nathan Manner.
Present.
From our Supervisory Committee, Vicki Radke,
Present.
Brenda Allanen, Dakota Koski.
Present.
Thank you, Christine. Have you established whether a quorum is present?
Yes, there being 77 members in attendance, a quorum has been established. This is a legal meeting.
Thank you. The next item before us is approving the minutes of the last annual meeting. The minutes of the previous annual meeting of the membership can be found on page 3 and 4 of the annual meeting booklet. Those minutes were reviewed by the board at both their June and July board meetings. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? There being no changes to the 2022 annual meeting minutes as presented, they are hereby accepted as read. At this time, I will provide you a verbal update from the Board of Directors. A written report can also be found on the front cover of the annual report. In 2022, we had a good financial performance with reasonable and sustainable growth compared to the rapid growth we experienced in 2021. Key financial indicators were all good, including the building of the credit union's equity. The board continues to be dedicated to the credit union's success, making sure proper policies are in place, financial performance is good, and that the credit union continues to be prepared for the future. The board focuses on big picture items and continues to think strategically about our future. The mission, vision, and core values found on page 8 of the annual report are always considered as we make those decisions. I also want to direct you to the bottom of page 7 of the annual report. You will see that the credit union, along with our employees, contributed over $72,000 to more than 100 local organizations and individuals in 2022. The Board of Directors is very proud of the donations the credit union and credit union employees make. The management team, led by our President and CEO Doug Wolf, keeps the board well informed. We are not afraid to ask necessary questions and provide the input that is needed. Our staff is outstanding. They provide top-notch personal service to you, our member owners. The call center, created in early 2022, has dramatically improved our member experience when calling into the credit union. The call center employees are some of the most experienced and capable frontline staff. In 2023, we have a few big projects being worked on that include the completion of the Stanley Avenue office remodel and the conversion of our core processing software. I believe President CEO Doug Wolf will be sharing more information about those two projects in his report. I would also like to acknowledge all the good work done in 2022 by our supervisory committee, led by committee chair Vicki Radke. The board members and I would also like to thank our President and CEO Doug Wolf, all of his management team, and the staff for their continued dedication to serving you, our member owners. I want to thank you, all of our board members, for all the work that you put in. You put in tireless amounts of time and dedicated service to our credit union. And your knowledge and dedication makes my job as board chair much easier. Finally, I want to thank you, our member owners, for supporting the credit union. We look forward to many successful years. This concludes the report of the Board of Directors. Are there any comments or questions related to the board? If not, the report has been received and will be part of the minutes. Next will be the report of President and CEO given by Doug Wolf.
Well, whoops. It's on? Yeah, it's on. You can hear me now, right? Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. Well, good evening, and thank you for coming and for your understanding and our need to reschedule this meeting from last month due to our crazy winter this past year. My written report is in the meeting booklet, and I would like to add a few comments tonight. First and foremost, I want to thank you, our member owners, for supporting your credit union by utilizing our services. We do what we do for only one reason, to help our members improve their financial well-being. And by being a member, you are doing the same thing for your family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers who also do their banking at Northwoods Credit Union. Northwoods Credit Union, as a financial cooperative, is operating by the principle of members pooling resources in order to provide better services at more reasonable costs, just like all credit unions were intended to do. So again, thank you for being a member. I would like to acknowledge a significant milestone in our Cloquet community. In 2023 marks 125 years of operations for the paper mill in town, now owned and operated by Sappi. As you are likely already know, Northwoods Credit Union was founded 87 years ago as a credit union for the paper mill employees. And so our history is forever tied to the paper mill. We all congratulate Sappi on this milestone, and we wish them success in the next 125 years. I would also like to let you know that last week, the Cloquet Area Chamber of Commerce named Northwoods Credit Union as the 2022 Large Business of the Year. All of our members and employees can take great pride in this recognition of our commitment to our members, the community, and how we live out the credit union's mission, vision, and values. On a different note, I am sure you saw the news in early March about the failure of two large banks, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. This caused questions throughout the nation about the safety and soundness of the banking system. While this was truly newsworthy, and it did cause some alarm within the banking system, your money here at Northwoods Credit Union was never at risk. Never at risk. We managed the balance sheet very conservatively with outstanding risk management. Our Asset Liability Committee, known as our ALCO, keeps a close watch on the makeup of the balance sheet and how potential interest rate changes and other events could affect our net worth. In the end, Northwoods Credit Union is very safe and sound. In addition, your deposits are insured for up to $250,000 by the National Credit Union Share Insurance Fund, and potentially more if you structure your account ownership properly. This insurance fund is managed by one of our regulators, the National Credit Union Administration, and it is separate from and distinct from the FDIC fund that is there for the banks. In both cases, though, the insurance funds are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S., so your money is safe. On a happier topic, 1 month ago, we reopened our Stanley Avenue branch lobby, and the exterior will be finished in the coming weeks. I invite you to come in and see the refreshed Stanley Avenue office. This remodel was the last facility to be addressed for updating, and all of our facilities are now prepared for the future so that we can provide better member experience and be as efficient as we can. On August 1st, we will be converting to a new computer system. This is a major project that has been in the works for a couple of years. We will need to have the branches and the call center closed on August 1st and 2nd for this conversion, but we will reopen sooner if we can. In addition, we will be changing our internet and mobile banking provider at the same time, so you will see a few changes in that as well. Please watch your mail and emails and our website and social media posts for more information on these events in the coming months. All of these investments in staffing, facilities, and systems over the past few years will enable us to be ready for the future. As noted in the financial reports provided in the meeting booklet, 2022 was a really good year for net income. However, we expect 2023 to be much different. In the current economic environment with high inflation, rapidly rising interest rates, along with added expenses for the systems and facilities, we expect to see significantly weaker net income in 2023. We also anticipate that 2024 will be challenging for net income as well. However, we are well positioned to get through this difficult economic period, and we fully expect to see improved financial performances in the years beyond 2024. Before I conclude, I would like to thank our Board of Directors for their support and leadership, the Supervisory Committee for the great work that they do, and I give a big thank you to my management team and the staff. Without all these individuals, I could not do my job, and we could not make our vision for the future a reality. My sincere thank you to you all. And again, thank you for your membership in Northwoods Credit Union. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you. You have heard the report of the President and CEO, Doug Wolf. Are there any questions or comments for our CEO? The report has now been received and will be part of the minutes of the meeting. We are now ready to hear the report of the Supervisory Committee, to be given by Supervisory Committee Chair Vicky Radke.
Hello, everybody. The Supervisory Committee works in conjunction with the Board of Directors to monitor and review the credit union's performance and internal controls. Our job is to verify that operational and financial functions are performed in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles, federal and state laws and regulations, and within the parameters of board policies, and that reasonable internal controls are in place to assist the committee in meeting its legal and regulatory obligations. The committee retains the services of several outside firms to perform certain ongoing internal audit procedures within the operations of the credit union, to perform the annual verification of member accounts, and the opinion audit. The opinion audit was completed as of 9/30/2022, and the result was an unqualified opinion. The financial information in this annual report is unaudited. The reports from these independent firms are reviewed by the committee, reported to the board and management, and the committee follows up on any findings. Based on the above audit procedures and the ongoing work of the committee, the Supervisory Committee is pleased to report that in 2022, no material concerns were revealed. And that's very commendable, very commendable for the staff, that was, especially with an opinion audit. The committee expresses its gratitude to the Board of Directors, the credit union management, and the staff for their cooperation and assistance during the year. It really is a cultural attitude, and it shows. Thank you.
You've heard the report of the Supervisory Committee. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, the report will be part of the minutes of this meeting. Is there any unofficial business from the floor? Seeing none, that takes us to new business. At this time, I will turn over the meeting to President and CEO Doug Wolf for the purpose of discussing board and committee compensation rates.
Each year, at the annual meeting of the membership, let me start over. Each year at the annual meeting, the membership votes on board and committee compensation. The current rate of pay is $21 per hour, which has not changed since the 2015 annual meeting, and that is 8 years ago. At last year's annual meeting, there was a question from the floor about what other credit unions pay their board and committee members. So in early March 2023, I myself personally did a survey, or sent out a survey to about 45 credit unions within the state, their CEOs, and asked what they were doing for their board and committee compensation. Of those that responded, $50 per hour was the most common amount that was paid, and the average of the responses was $42. And again, right now, our compensation is set at $21. I'm going to go off script a little bit here, but I want to make sure everybody understands. When we talk about compensation, that is just to help offset time in working with the credit union. There are no other benefits paid to the board or the supervisory committee, so it's just a strict dollar amount for time put in to help the credit union be successful. So with that, I will be glad to entertain if there's any discussion or questions you might have about compensation. Yes.
Yeah,
Can I have your name first?
Deborah.
Okay, and your last name? I'm sorry, we just, for the minutes.
Oh, yeah, Wickard.
Deborah Wickard?
Yes.
Okay.
I just was wondering, what locations are they paying $50 an hour? Is that like Twin Cities, or are we talking?
It was, no, it varied. It was really from the south to the north. It was kind of mixed. I wouldn't say it was concentrated in the cities. There was some in the Iron Range that were paying that much.
Okay.
It was big to small.
Yeah, it was, and it was
All
credit unions of
sizes.
all sizes. Yeah. I will tell you that this is done on the state charter level. So it was state charter credit unions that I surveyed. Any other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to set the board and committee compensation effective the end of this meeting until the end of the 2024 annual meeting of the members of Northwoods Credit Union. Was there a question? Or
Yeah, I was wondering, as the CEO, do you have a recommendation for compensation for the board members and the committees?
I will do that. This is something I don't usually like to tip my toes into, but I certainly think, considering that the compensation hasn't been raised in 8 years, that it is fair that there should be an increase. The board we don't turn over the board very often, and that's not a bad thing here. These people have put in a lot of time and effort, from the information that we send them as a management team to the time they're in meetings. We occasionally call special meetings to deal with certain issues, and it's always been a very good interactive, and so it's a very active and informed board. So I think there's fair compensation to be done. If I'm saying, a recommendation, again, $50 was the most common paid. 42 would be the average between whoever paid $20 or more. That was the average. So I would say, we should be somewhere around the average at the minimum. Does that answer your question?
Kind of.
Kind of. Well, it's like asking, can you set your boss's wage, right? So that's kind of hard. But I guess I could phrase it this way. I don't know that more than $50 would be fair. I don't think we want to be above what everybody else is paying. So, but I do think it would be fair for our board to be compensated in a similar manner that other board members and other credit unions are being paid. And so I would think that anywhere from $42 to $50 an hour would make sense. Now, I want you to understand too, that on average, for the majority of the board, we're only talking, they get paid for probably 3 to 3.5 hours a month. It's not a lot, but it does help cover some of their transportation costs and things like that. I know it probably doesn't answer the question fully, but that's about as good as you're going to get out of me today.
Well, then I'll move that we set it at $40 per hour with the stipulation that it should be reviewed again at our next annual meeting.
Okay, the motion is that the board and committee compensation be set at $40 an hour, and that it would be again reviewed at next annual meeting, which it will have to be, because that's the way the bylaws work.
Second.
Can you, I'm sorry, when you made the motion, can you say your full name?
Jim Ninus.
Jim Ninus. And a second, and then we'll take questions on the motion. Is there a second?
I have a question. I think it should be higher.
Well, let's take a second first, then we'll take questions on the motion, and then it can be amended. I think that's the proper way, don't you think? Can we get a second first before we have question? Okay, and Deborah Weckert again. Okay, thank you. Now, question on the motion. So what would you?
I think it should be higher. I mean, the price of gas and everything else nowadays, I don't think $50 is unreasonable.
Okay, so there's a question on the motion that it should be higher and at $50. Is there other discussion? Maker of the motion, do you wish to amend your motion or no?
No, I think, you know, it's been a while and it's an increase, and I think that if it's reviewed again next year, it's a good starting point, and it recognizes the effort that the board members and committee people are putting in, and that the membership wants to see them get compensated at a reasonable rate, and then we'll review it again next year.
Okay. So the maker of the motion does not want to amend the motion, so we need to vote on that. And if it doesn't pass, then we could entertain a different motion. That is the right way, right? Okay. So we have a motion to set the compensation for the board and committee at $40 an hour. It has been properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. The ayes have it, and we will set the compensation at $40 to be reviewed at the next annual meeting. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the meeting over back to you.
Thank you very much for your involvement in that. It's appreciated, and the board thanks you for that. Is there any other new business to be brought before the board at this point in time? Yes?
Hey, William Bauer. I don't know if this needs to be necessarily business that we bring to the board, but as far as employee compensation discussion for next year, you know, I think some of the reading the room here, I think, right, we want to fairly compensate our board because, you know, we want good people there. But I think there's also some concern about, you know, cost. So perhaps we could direct the president or someone here to, for next year, to kind of bring in a little bit more granular data about, you know, maybe like revise that survey or repeat that survey. And then also bring some information about sort of what's the total financial impact of these, like board compensation. Because my suspicion is that it's probably not that much money, and so even higher compensation would be fair, but I think that's probably what everybody here is thinking, right?
Sure. Every year we need to bring forth, as part of our agenda, approval of compensation for the following year. And certainly we will have our CEO check into what the numbers are across the state again and see if there's any major change. And in reality, as far as the bottom line number on what this is gonna mean, it's not much.
Yeah, it's
It's very minimal. It's a drop in the bucket of the total budget that you see in front of you.
Yeah, so just to clarify, or, to hit those points, that's exactly what I'd like to see, is just those exact numbers,
Sure.
Again, the average, and then, maybe like a total, so that when we're looking at this, it's not so much of a question.
Yep, and I apologize, I'm not prepared to give that out for this past year, but what I can do is we'll repeat the survey just so we get updated information, and I can report to you what we paid in total for the board and compensation, what that means on average per month. So you can get a sense of how much that is. That's why I wanted to indicate about the number of hours. It's not, in the scheme of things of our operating, it's not a significant expense in that, but we can certainly provide that information.
Other questions or business to be brought before the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
would it be appropriate for a committee of just the members, maybe a 5-person committee selected at random, to review that board compensation information, and that way a committee from the general membership would then make a recommendation to the group? That way the board members aren't trying to do that, and the CEO isn't trying to do that. It would just be a committee that would meet shortly before the next annual meeting and review the information and make a recommendation to the general body. Is that something that could be done?
I think it's certainly something that the board will discuss. I can't guarantee it will happen. You notice none of us poked up and said we wanted a raise or anything like that. We let that to you guys, but we will discuss the possibility of forming an ad hoc committee
There you
to
go.
look at that information and see where we go with it. The information gathered by the survey conducted by our president CEO was very thorough, and as a board, we did see it. But once again, we don't set the pay for ourselves. You, as board members, as member owners, set that pay rate. So, and it's done yearly. So we will discuss it and see what we come up with.
And we did the survey because of the request last year.
Yeah, as you requested it last year to find out where we were at. So we did that homework and brought it forth with the numbers today. So I saw another hand in the back of the room.
Well, I was just gonna ask, can somebody make a formal motion that an ad hoc committee be assembled to review the information?
Certainly,
The
you,
gentleman just suggested, but nobody made a motion, so can we make a formal motion that that be done?
I believe our bylaws would allow that, but I don't have them in front of me. But if you want to make a motion that a ad hoc committee be established, I need your name.
Lori Peterson.
Lori Peterson makes a motion that an ad hoc committee be established to look at board member compensation.
I'll second.
Second by Jim Ninus. Is there any further discussion or questions? Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. If you are interested in volunteering for that, please reach out to Doug or myself. We'll get your name down. Or shoot an email or call. One of the, call Doug and, or one of the management team, and we'll get those names, and we'll create a committee from there. Any other new business to be brought before the board? Any other new business? Okay, hearing no other business, we'll now proceed to the election process. There are 3 seats up for election in 2023, and they are for 3-year terms. The 3 incumbents were placed into nomination by the nominating committee, and there were no other nominations made by the committee nor were there any other nominations by petition. One of our nominees, Casey Olson, resigned recently from the board, leaving his seat vacant, and given the timing of that resignation within the election cycle, his seat will remain vacant until a replacement can be appointed by the board of directors. His replacement will then stand for election next year in the next election cycle as dictated by our bylaws. With that being said, for the two seats up for election, given there are only two nominees for the board, I declare by acclamation the election of Christine Nelson Ringat and Larry Champeau to 3-year terms on the board of directors. Please join me in congratulating Christine and Larry. Thank you. There being no other business before the membership, I want to thank you all for being here. Thanks for coming. And again, we apologize for the bad weather in April. Much nicer out there tonight. You'll make it home safely. So please travel safely. I hereby declare the meeting of the Northwoods Credit Union adjourned. If you're logged into Facebook Live or had any audio or video issues, please check our website later in the week as this recording will be up there. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to our Director of Marketing to announce our door prizes. Kate, are you ready?
I'm ready.
They're jumping on their seats. By the way, there was a $100 bill or two, I think, under the front 2 rows here. By not sitting up front, you're not going to get those $100 bills. So the board just wanted me to let you know that. So you missed it.
All right, tonight we have 14 cash prizes, including 2 $100 prizes, 3 $75, 3 $50, and 6 $25 cash prizes. So we're going to draw our first winner here for $100, Virginia Hattinen. Oh, I think Christine's got it. Oh, yeah, do you want to hand it to Christine over there? I will have you draw though.
Okay.
Another $100 cash winner. Nathaniel Clemens.
Oh, wow.
Next up, $75 cash. Brenda Palin. I didn't say that right, did I? Palin? Pauline, thank you. $75 for Marshall Johnson. I don't need that anymore. All right, next up, we have 3 $50 cash prizes. The first one goes to Milena Clementson. Congratulations. Right up here, right in front. 1 row off from those $100 under the seats. Another $50 to Jeanette Boatingheimer. Check Christine's. And 1 more 50, correct? We have another 50? Yeah. Okay, another $50 cash winner goes to Lori Peterson. $25 to Deanna Wisniewski. All right, $25 to Lisa Bushy. $25 to Tanner Strand, the lucky row back there. $25 to Pete Boatingheimer, we moved up one row. $25 cash to Kathy Bianskis.
Do you need any more?
One more. One more 25? One more $25 cash winner to John Desmond.
Hey, there you go.
All right. That is it for the cash prizes. Thanks again for attending this year. And then tonight we ask that you leave either out this door or this side door here as the library has closed during our meeting. So thank you again for coming tonight. We appreciate it. Have a great night.